Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Creators Outlet, live on YouTube and anywhere you can download a podcast from. Tonight, we welcome our special guests, the creative team behind WereWoofs. Woofs. Oh, that's difficult to say. Welcome, everybody. How are you?
Excellent.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. I'm doing
Thanks
well.
for having us.
Well, thanks for coming out. Otherwise, I would have been sleeping until 11 when my next show goes on. So let's start with a little origin story on everybody. Brandon?
I do visual effects for a living, and in 2012, I started New Paradigm Studios to make, comics, and we had our first book called Watson and Holmes that came out in 2013, and it got nominated for a couple of Eisner Awards in 2014, and we ended up doing the second volume after that around 2016, and the past couple of years, between Paul and I, Mendoza, who's my creative partner, we were coming up with ideas for WereWoofs, which was actually way back in the day, probably around 2011, but we never really, got to making anything until around 2018. We got some better ideas to change the story, and we decided we wanted to work with Joelle because she does great humor and drama really well, and we always wanted to work with her. So around 2019, she was available, and we started, the new version of the story.
Cool. Val?
I'm actually pretty new to the industry. I graduated from SCAD in 2018, and my first book was Cheer Up, Love and Pom Poms from Oni Press. And I came onto this project because I worked on Rolled and Told with Steenz, Christina Stewart, and they actually contacted me about coming onto this project, which I was very excited about. It came at the perfect time in my life. I was still working in food service, and it was a very miserable job, so I was much happier doing this instead.
Food service is always a miserable job.
Oh, yeah.
And Joelle?
Yeah, I've gone past my food service horror stories to work, and I've been professional writer. I guess most of my career now. I started in advertising as a copywriter, and for the past 10 years or so, I've been writing creatively full time. I do a lot of animation, kids and some adult. I've done comics and graphic novels, most notably the Saved by the Bell graphic novel for Lion Forge, which is how I met Christina Steenz, who worked for Lion Forge as a great editor there. And I also do TV movies. I did Paris Wine and Romance for Hallmark, and I write video games, so I do a little bit of everything.
And a very interesting back wall with some cool stuff behind you as well.
Yeah, I've got my comics back there, and the wall facing me is animation. So it's kind of great. It's like having this sort of living resume. So if people ask me what I've done, I can just look up and read off.
You just read everything off.
There's a lot of it, and I forget.
Yeah, I forget what I went into the kitchen for, but remember the song lyrics from the 70s. So,
There's that too.
It's all well and good. So this is a YA graphic novel, correct?
Yeah.
And how many pages is this?
160. 151 of it is story.
Okay, very nice. And why don't you give us a synopsis of the book and your big selling points, why people would be interested in this?
Joelle, would you mind? Because I think you can explain it even better than I can.
Sure. It takes place in a small Michigan town called Howlett, the home of the Pawpaw Dog Food Factory. And we start with our main character, Mara, who is secretly a werewolf and kind of a loner. And she gets this new group of friends who have been bitten by these stray infected dogs. And I'd be giving it away if I told you how they got infected. But instead of turning into werewolves, they turn into dogs, weredogs. So Mara befriends this new pack and teaches them how to control their powers. And they go up against her cousin, who has taken over her pack, her family, after her father mysteriously disappeared, and wants to turn her law-abiding good werewolf family into a pack of vicious criminals. So she teams up with her new friends to go up against the big bad werewolves. And also they help her solve her father's disappearance.
So it's kind of like a werewolf Scooby-Doo vibe a little bit.
A bit, yeah.
Very, very, very bit, or bite maybe even. But, so where did the original story come from, and how did it end up morphing into what it is now?
I started out with some illustrations of the characters, around 2011 or so, and I had some ideas of just, weredogs versus biker werewolves. And Paul came up with some of the interesting ideas how they turn into weredogs, which still stays till this day. That's one element that never changed, how the inciting incident, how that happens. And, Paul developed it, on and off for since then. And again, like I was saying, around 2018, we had the idea that it was originally supposed to be about adult characters, but after seeing, a lot of, YA middle grade books, I felt like this story lends itself better to kids versus adults, especially with the success of Dogman. It's I personally would love to see the kids who were raised on Dogman who grow older might want to go on to WereWoofs eventually. But Paul came out with a really cool story, and we decided it just needs to be taken to a finish. And we brought it over to Joelle and we were like, hey, make this better. But we also hired Steenz because she became available after Lion Forge, got taken over by Oni and some people were laid off.
Mm-hmm.
She became available, and we just put this thing together. Steenz found Val, so it was just it really was a lot with Steenz helping get everything working together and making sure the story stayed on point. She's really super valuable on this.
And Val, what did you do? I don't know what anybody does. I know Brandon helped create the characters.
Yeah.
And
Paid the bills.
Oh, okay. I got some. I'll send you.
I was the artist.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Well, that's very explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, I did most of the character designs, but they were based on the work that a previous artist had done. I don't recall what their name was, who had been working on the book before me, of course, with plenty of input from everyone else on the team. But yeah, that's what I did.
Did you do all the art from start to finish?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. It's not very often nowadays that happens. There's usually a finisher involved or somebody else doing the coloring, but you're doing everything. So
Yeah. It's more common, I think, with Marvel and DC for a lot of the work to be split up for who's doing pencils, who's doing inks, colors, letters, and stuff like that. I did not do letters for this book. That's the one part of the art that I did not do.
Yeah, and Dukeshire did the lettering.
Yeah.
Oh, I know him. His name's on a whole bunch of books behind me.
Yep. He's awesome.
You know, it's kind of like if you were a comic fan in like the 90s, there's no way that you could avoid having a book that Scott Hanna worked on. Welcome, Miss Rita. How are you? I like it when I get distracted by comments. So, what's the release date of the book?
The book's already out. It's on Amazon right now.
Okay.
We have it in some stores in Los Angeles, and we're going to be having it in some more places cross country soon. But the book came out December 21st, so it was like literally just barely a month. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of came out in the holiday season where everyone's doing everything. So it's only now, it's word of mouth is starting to go around about it. So, but if they go on Amazon and want the copy right now, they can go right there.
Yeah, if you have the Amazon link, shoot it to me in the private chat, and I will post it up.
Absolutely, and they could take a look at our book trailer as well. Hold on a second.
Yeah, send that over, and anything you want to share artistically from the book.
Yep.
Sorry.
If there's anything, any art you would like to share from the book,
I actually
speak of, you can hit the share button down the bottom, and we can take a look at it and talk about it as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I actually don't have anything on my computer on this laptop,
okay.
But if anyone else does.
So on that YouTube link, there'll be the actual trailer, and it'll also have a link to the Amazon page as well.
Okay.
I'll even send you an Amazon one too. And
we get to watch a mini movie.
And it's Kindle and paperback. So
very good. So I'm going to bring up the trailer because
yeah, that came out just a few days ago, actually.
Oh, nice. So what are some of the stores out in LA that have that are carrying the book for you right now?
Golden Apple, Galaxy of Comics. What's the other one? Secret Headquarters. Who else?
Pulp Fiction. We did a signing there right before the holidays.
Okay.
Emerald Knights. Who else? Let's see.
You think Golden Apple?
Yeah, we said Golden Apple. DJ's Universal. Legacy Comics in Glendale. Try and see who else. That may be it for right now, but right now, just those are the main LA shops. Going to some other ones and adding them as I'm going along.
I know Golden Apple quite well. They've gotten more than one of my paychecks for stuff. So
they have signed copies over there too, so it's even extra special. Ah, there we go.
And we can all pop down here and watch the trailer.
So this was animated by Leo's Projects, and the sound design was by David Lucarelli, another mutual friend of. Are you friends with David, Joelle?
I don't think so.
You might have met him at CBS, though.
Yeah, the name sounds vaguely familiar.
Find yourself. Find your voice. Find your pack and howl.
That That made me a little scared of Labradoodles.
Gotta stay away from the Pomeranians. They're the vicious ones.
It's always the little dogs.
Oh yeah, the little dogs with big attitudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this link I'm putting in now is the link for the Amazon page where you can go and buy either the Kindle or the paperback.
Yes.
I would prefer the paperback because, well, physical media and all.
Yep.
You never know what happens in the future, and that that license could go to another company, and then you're like, why can't I read this book again?
Well, it's so ironic because Amazon bought Comixology, and Comixology is getting folded out and being part of Amazon. So it's like it's even harder for publishers like us because it was like we had deals with Comixology. Now we have to go back to Amazon's system of things, which I'm not as keen of their interactive views. Like Comixology's quality was better. So I'm hoping Amazon makes a new Kindle version because it's like they've been using the same one for about 10 years. So it'd be nice to have an updated one.
Yeah, I subscribe to Comixology, more than one occasion. Plus, I get all the PR from them and like the new original stuff. And I enjoyed having the subscription and being able to go back and read favorites from my childhood, like Lone Wolf and Cub, or the Transformers, or or something that I wouldn't necessarily have in my collection anymore. That my daughter might have destroyed while she was working on her digital art and trying to get inspiration from something.
Well, what I like about Comixology is they always would have these insanely good sales of collections. So if there's titles that you're like, well, I'm not into buying a book or a set of them, it's like, oh, I could have it digitally and I could still enjoy reading them for a lot cheaper price because it's like that's not a title I'm in love with, but I just want to kill some time and read a whole run of that book.
Yeah, it's just it was convenient, I think. Was the thing. I know Marvel and DC had their their back and forth battles with their digital platform, and I never read digital until I was doing reviews for various sites, and would get the advanced copy digitally and be able to check it out like that. But now I don't mind it, and I see there's quite a few campaigns out there that have special digital perks where they'll do a cross promotion with other indie creators, and they'll get a block of people to donate the first issue of their series that they're on issue 3 or 4 of, to try to get interest in other people's work as well. And they'll I know there's a campaign going now where they will send you 14 digital comics for a donation of $1. And they hit their goal right away. And because I talked to a lot of the people that I talk to are going the crowdfunding route, but now everything's changing with that, and all the rules are changing, and their fees are all going up. Imagine that. So a lot of creators I know of now are switching, having to change their game and go, not self-published, but go through almost the crowdfunding type, but through their own website, and be able to offer up anything else they have for sale. If it's an artist that's a creator, they'll have their original pages for sale and stuff like that on there.
I would like to see a new digital and also other distribution system. I think that's probably the biggest problem right now, is that there's not an easy universal way for independents to get into stores and have a really good site and way of raising. I know there's some other people who were trying to do something late last year. They were talking about it. I don't know
Mhm.
what's gone on with those guys. I hope to hear from them soon about what they want to do. But I definitely think a new system would be great, because it'd be nice to have more than just Amazon. It would be nice to have another system where fans can go and support new projects, and everyone wins on it versus other middlemen and such.
Yeah, there's got to be a way, because now I call the digital version I refer to now as the Australian variant, because it'll cost you like $60 to ship like one book to Australia, which is ridiculous. And the UK isn't much better because they have the VAT tax, so they want you to be responsible for collecting their tax and then give it to them. And I'm like, I think some of us left your country because of this, and we don't want to do it again. The only way, I think somebody mentioned, the only way around it is if you say that it was a gift, then they can't do anything. But the only the good thing I look about Amazon being on there, somebody with a graphic novel, because Amazon is like in every country. So you can order a book from Amazon like anywhere in the United Kingdom, in Australia, and they'll print it up and ship it to you there. The shipping will still be expensive, but you won't be paying oversized shipping for anything to get into your country, which that's another thing that has to be worked on. Because
I know the printer I'm using, Mixam, has printers in the UK as well to do print on demand. I have to see if there's a way that if the shipping can be cheap enough to print it on demand, because normally when you just print one book, they're going to charge you like $20 for that first book. And the shipping might be cheaper because it's coming from England, because I have had stuff done from British printing to send it to France and England, and it was much cheaper shipping doing it through that printer. But so the question is, will they print it for a reasonable price so that when I sell it to a British customer, they're not paying a crazy rate and they're not paying a crazy mailing rate? So I think that's something that has to be thought of as well, because I'm willing to do that for like overseas, customers, if there was a way to make it, financially feasible.
I know there's a couple of indie creators that have gone into the fulfillment game, and RJ from Critical Blast, I think he's out on the West Coast too, Washington State, I believe. And he does the stateside fulfillment for a lot of campaigns, even overseas. They'll package up everything and send it in like one big oversized box to him, and then he will do the fulfillment with everything, which seems to be a lot cheaper. I know the creator of The Sin Killer is in Portugal, so he had all his books printed up around the UK, and a friend of his who's also an indie creator got everything shipped to him, and he did the fulfillment from the Netherlands for that side of the world. And Critical Blast did all the US ones, so they had printing basically like in the UK, and then they shipped them to the other guy, and then they had the printing done here in the States and shipped to the Critical Blast people, and they shipped out everything from here. So there's people out there working, trying to find a way around the super expensive shipping, which saves the creators money and saves the customers money. And if you save me like $1 in shipping, to get a comic, I'm gonna be overjoyed, because right now it's anywhere from $10 to like $35, depending on the size of the size of the book or books that you're getting. So I totally get it. It's insane, and the priority mail's gotten expensive now. So it used to be an affordable way of, I would be able to take an envelope and stuff a bunch of books in that envelope and put some padding, and it was like, cool, I got a good deal. But now you're not getting that.
But I definitely think if there are a lot of indie creators who can collaborate with their schedules, it would make it much cheaper because, you can get you could do freight shipping and put it in a container. So if you have 20 creators all printing their books at the same time, you could fill a container and it's much cheaper than sending a box. So anything that a bunch of creators that we could do eventually together, I think can leverage much more things versus doing it yourself. That's the problem with distribution, is that they want, most wholesalers or distributors or stores like Barnes & Noble, they expect you to have 10 books in your catalog, and none of us do. Maybe a few of us do. But, if you were to take, let's say, 20 creators and each have a couple of books from them, you could end up having a library of 20, or quote 20 books from a collective that could, go on distribution and actually, even get better rates shipping overseas. You get better deals printing, because you go to a printer and saying, hey, I'm getting 20 books printed this month. You will get a much better deal than one person printing one book. So that's something I'd love to talk to other creators and self-publishers about.
Yeah, because it is an issue. I think the reason nothing like that has come together is usually when campaigns go up, they're in various states of completion. I know a bunch of creators, like Roland Mann's company. He doesn't launch a Kickstarter until the book is 100% done. And then you have other people that are launching their campaign because they need to pay. They need to be able to pay their artists and anybody else working on the book. And it could be only 12 pages into the into a 90-page graphic novel format, and then so nothing is done on a schedule because everybody's on a different schedule. A lot of creators, a lot of indie creators out there, they're not just working on the books, they're holding down a real world job on top of doing what they love, and dividing that between family, friends, and getting stuff done. Yes, Trish and Mike, just had them on a couple days ago. They have a project they love on Kickstarter, so they're doing good, and they waited until their book was 100% complete.
I don't know if you're familiar. I did also, with Paul, we did some work on a anthology series called Cthulhu is Hard to Spell by Wannabe Press by Russell Nohelty. And that was a Kickstarter. They did 2 volumes of it. And one was Cthulhu is Hard to Spell. And the second one was Cthulhu is Harder to Spell, the Terrible Twos. And basically an anthology of Lovecraftian stories with different creators. They were each about 170 pages. Hardcover. There's going to be a volume 3. We didn't work on volume 3, but I'm looking to get my copy, so that's coming out next month. But that was something that Paul and I did stories on, and if anyone has ever gotten it, you'll see our work in it.
Nice. Yeah, there's been a lot of Cthulhu's books and anthologies. There was one done, and I'd spoken to multiple creators that worked on it. Was Cthulhu Invades Oz. And I'm like, okay, this is different. But Brandon's sharing some stuff, so we want to look at it. And we have the first 10 pages we can take a look. Volume 1. So how many volumes are you looking to do in this series?
I would love to do 3 easily. Tell a 3-part story.
The infamous trilogies.
Yes. It breaks down well.
Yeah, we plant some seeds for a possible sequel towards the latter third of the book.
just being able to check out some of the pages. So Val, tell me about your art.
Well, I did most of these pages in Photoshop, and then I moved on to, I switched from using mostly Photoshop to Clip Studio last year,
Oh yeah.
just because everyone was kind of making that switch. And the Clip Studio is much easier to use. I think it's much more user-friendly than Photoshop is. The only issue is that you can't convert anything to CMYK. So I colored things in Clip Studio and then had to move them back into Photoshop and convert them to CMYK so that they could actually be ready to print.
Yeah. I've heard that because I know my friend Phil, who's a colorist, uses both. He's like, well, I do everything I do in Clip, but then I have to put it over to Photoshop so we can transfer it into usable material, and sometimes clean up a couple of areas or whatever. And so when did you first start drawing?
I think, oh my gosh, it was January of 2020, so it was right before the pandemic. I think that is when I started doing pages. And I liked the way that the art was done in batches for this book. Steenz set up my schedule. So I would do 15 pages of thumbnails, then 15 pages of the pencils from those thumbnails, and then ink them, and then move on to thumbnails again. So it was kind of like every 2 weeks I was doing something different. And so it was a lot less monotonous than the usual, like doing 120 pages of thumbnails, then penciling 120 pages, then so on and so forth.
Oh yeah. And let's just switch it around so you're not going, I need to get out of here. Kind of mode, yeah.
Keeps your brain stimulated.
And the writing was done in batches as well. So as Val started on his thumbnails and his drawings, I could continue writing the next batch that I had. So it moved the process along a lot quicker, rather than me writing 151 pages of panels and dialogue, and then handing the whole chunk off.
Yeah.
So Val, you worked your way into a perfect work from home situation right in the nick of time.
Yeah, I was still doing food service and barista stuff like up until August of 2020, which was interesting. But this is definitely the project that enabled me to not have to do that anymore, and it was especially good to not have to do that anymore during the pandemic.
It's good to not have to do that at any time, really.
Yeah.
So tell me about this group of kids that we can see all in the center panel here.
So left to right, we have Jay, who has some issues with his parents, wanting him to not only study and get good grades, but also work at the family jewelry store. So he's got no time for friends, no time for dating, and he kind of struggles a bit. And then, turning into a weredog doesn't really help his situation out much.
No, that's got a crimpy social style.
Yeah, that's what he has to deal with. So next we have Alvirne. Alvirne is the new kid in town. So he lost his parents and is now living with his Aunt Carla, who's on the Howlett police force, and may know a thing or two about these werewolves that everyone kind of talks about, but doesn't actually exist. And he's adjusting to his new school and, wanting to play football. and he's got a little bit of a crush on Mara, who is standing next to him. And Mara is, she lives kind of on the outskirts of town, the not so great area, with her extended family, which is her pack, and her father is the leader of the pack until he disappears, and then her cousin Zev takes over, and they do not get along. Mara is very interested in keeping her father's vision of the pack, because she is pretty sure he's going to come back from wherever he's disappeared to. And she doesn't want there to be this major disruption, which, Zev is planning these heists and crimes, and she's kind of going up against him, even though she's very young and not as powerful as the rest of them. She's trying to stand her ground. And then we have Lorenzo, who he has a huge crush on the hot guy at school. And he lives with his sister, Isabel. And their parents are very wealthy. And they're kind of always off on business trips and traveling and consulting for various clients. So they leave Lorenzo and Isabel in this really nice house just by themselves. So they can kind of use it as their headquarters as they all bond together as werewolves. And Lorenzo, he's kind of the class clown, and he's also an opportunist. So he uses his opportunity to change into a dog to kind of stalk his crush a little bit. So he gets a lot of crap from Isabel about his loose morals and using his ability that way. And Isabel is all the way to the right, and she has a huge crush on Jay. And she's also, everyone has secrets. She is secretly a big nerd and doesn't want anyone to know. So she pretends that she's in hiking clubs and cooler clubs, but she doesn't want anyone to know that she's really playing chess or doing what she considers things that Jay would not find cool about her. So as the story goes on and everyone kind of becomes more comfortable in their skins, they deal with these issues.
So Val, did you have any challenges artistically while working on the book?
I didn't have a lot of experience drawing animals before this book. So I had to learn pretty quickly how to draw a lot of different dogs, which is something that actually became pretty fun for me. I've never been just a big animal person, but I think that I have much more of an appreciation for different types of dogs than I did before working on this book. I can identify a lot of more different types of dogs than I could before working on this book.
Yeah, I grew up with dogs. Something else that I was allergic to, but when my allergies started getting better, when I was approaching the teenage years, many decades ago, we had gotten a German Shepherd, and then we were moving to a smaller place where we couldn't take the dogs. So my mother didn't let me say goodbye to the dog, and just took the dog to its new home, and I was very angry for a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I would be too.
Like, the dog could have slept in my room. They don't allow dogs where we're moving.
Yeah.
Well, move someplace else. It's next to where I work. We can't. So for a while, I started hanging out at the local dog park just to torment myself, I guess.
That kind of companionship, it's a big thing to lose.
Oh yeah.
A dog, yeah.
Ironically, I think all three of us are cat people.
Yeah. I'm allergic to cats, but I do love my cats.
So you're allergic to cats, but you have cats.
Yeah, I only found out a couple of weeks ago that I was allergic. I was wondering why I felt so sick all last year. And then finding out it was because of my cats. But I have some allergy medication now, so I can tolerate them.
I'd say about 10 years ago, I got custody of my daughter, and we moved into a house that was owned by a friend of mine. And she'd, can we get a pet? Can we get a pet? And a friend of mine had a litter, and we got the kitten that we called Spaz for a good reason. And we had him till I got sick, and the house ended up being sold. And then the new owners kept him because out in the woods, the little Mises like to come in and visit. So it was a deterrent. One that living next to a river now, I might have to, actually get one again. I'm like, not till I put all my toys and comics away though.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, what are you gonna do if the cat destroys your comics? Well, there will be no more cat.
I love dogs, but it's too much responsibility for me.
Yeah.
So we have fun.
Yeah. I love dogs too. My only problem is I don't want to go around with plastic bags picking up their stuff.
Yeah.
Plus I'm in a wheelchair, so I can't get down too far. And I'm like, no. So instead, I just encourage all my friends and family that own dogs to come visit so I can play with and pet the dogs. And then they can take them home. I guess it's the closest I'm going to be to a grandparent for a long time.
And my sister has dogs, so I feel like I'm a dog aunt. So I can go and play with them and walk them, and then not have to deal with doing that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the vet. You don't have to go to the dog park. You don't have to buy food and toys and
travel without having to board them.
Yeah, it's almost I would almost rather have another child than the expenses of a dog. Because for some reason, if you have to go in and have surgery, your insurance will cover a good portion of it. But for some reason, the same surgery on a dog is $100,000 more. I'm like, why? It doesn't make any sense to me.
My cats have health insurance. So
You can get health insurance for cats.
Yes, you can get health insurance for pets.
I need to do that for my cats. It really costs
Yeah,
a lot of money.
before they break down, insure them today.
I grew up with dogs at my parents' house, and it wasn't fun because it was like, my parents would leave newspaper on trays. They didn't walk them to do their business. They did their business on newspapers, and, we had to constantly clean it. It would stink. It's like, that's what I love about cats. It's like, they're litter trained, and it's so much easier, But my brother has dogs, and he's not much of a trainer, so some of them can be a little wild sometimes. A little undisciplined. So it's like you have a dog. I think one of the biggest investments you have to do is train it, and it's like people think they know how to train a dog, but really they don't. They don't. You really have to hire a professional to train the dog as like a puppy, and like get that dog to be a decent dog. Otherwise, they're just crazy, and it just makes life a little bit more difficult. So that's probably my biggest advice to people who want dogs. It's like, all right, if you're going to get a dog, invest in a trainer, really, or go to puppy, doggy training classes, whatever. But don't neglect that, because people think they know, but they really don't.
I want that guy from TikTok to train a dog for me that has the dog actually using the toilet. I'm like,
impressive.
I'm like, that is like $1 million business right there. You trained your dog to use a toilet. I mean, it probably won't flush it, but you're like one step closer to to clean up perfection there.
Well, for $30, you can get one of these specialized litter boxes you put on a toilet seat, and you train a cat to use a toilet. So it's like a donut, and it's like ringing, and you just put it on, they use it, and then you remove parts of it, and then eventually they just use the toilet seat to, go their business. It's like, but you probably should start with like a younger cat. I don't think you can do it with like an adult cat. It's like they're already set in their ways. It's like, cats pretty much train their owners, so it's like
yeah, it's like it's like, I'm here, this is all mine now, and I let you stay here. Feed me. Wait, there's not enough food here. The middle of the bowl is empty. Feed me more.
Yeah, we have the cat alarm where she knows the second I open my eyes in the morning, and then it's meow, meow, meow until he gets fed.
A friend of mine's like that. I joke with her. I go, "You're too young to be the crazy old cat lady." She's got like 5 or 6 cats.
Ooh.
And she'll wake up in the morning, and they'll basically have her pinned in under her covers. Like, they'll be sleeping, the sides of her legs, between her legs. One will be sleeping on her chest, and we'll just stop purring. And when they get hungry, if she hasn't woken up yet, they kind of like and wake her up that way. Everybody, check out the link I just dropped is the link for New Peregrine Studios over on Instagram. I'm marking my way. Every time I turn around, Brandon is dropping more links. And another link. Oh, I got a picture. Yay. I like pictures. They tell lots of story. Right, Val?
I hope so.
So this is just a post from Instagram titled "Who Let the Dogs Out?" So this is a panel from page 10.
No, that's not page 10. That's around page 29 or 30. And that's actually most of the page. It's a splash page. So It got cropped, but that's most of the page.
And those are the kids in dog form.
And who were they chasing down?
The kids. The kids are walking from their day, finished from school, and the dogs have escaped the what would you call it? Not a pound. It's the shelter. The city shelter, yeah. And it's not far from the school, so
Yeah, that's going to be no fun.
no.
I like the whole layout of this shop, though. Shading and coloring was very well.
Thank you.
And the kids turn into the corresponding dog that bites them.
Oh.
So Isabella's bitten by a Pomeranian, and then her were form, she becomes a Pomeranian.
And I just followed Joelle on Amazon.
You can follow me on Amazon?
Yeah. It's got a little, when you scroll down the page where you can get the paperback or Kindle, down the bottom it says about the author and has your name. Discover more of the author's books, see similar authors, read author blogs, and more. And then you can click the button under the invisible picture, and you can follow them on Amazon. I follow probably about 24 people on Amazon now.
I do not have an author blog, unfortunately.
But you have plenty of appearances.
I do have appearances. We'll probably do some more in the LA area, some more signings that Brandon's lining up.
Yep.
Oh, that was going to be one of my next questions about doing any plans to do conventions to promote this.
Hopefully this weekend there's the Pasadena Comic-Con, which is a small show on Sunday. So hopefully everything goes right. I'll be there selling some books. Let's see. I don't know what other shows, we're going for. I mean, I'd like to get in. I know Burbank has a street thing with comics and illustrators and stuff. I forgot what that's called, but it's right on San Fernando Boulevard, like in the media center area. I'd like to try and get in there. I know I'd love to talk to one of Val's comic stores, see if we can get a signing for him there. So it's just I haven't had time to catch up on stuff because I've been busy with work and some other stuff. So now it's sort of like in between. I just try and get whatever I can. So also a lot of times with comic book store owners, sometimes you just can't catch them for whatever reason. Like some of them aren't there every day at their stores. So it's like, you try and go on a Wednesday and it's like, no, the owner's not there. It's the manager. So it's like, and they're the ones who make those financial decisions. So you have to always be able to catch them at the right time to, see if there's any interest.
Speaking as a former comic shop employee, a lot of us are instructed when we answer the phone that the owner and manager are not here today. Because 90% of the calls are, I have a lot of old comics. Are you interested in old comics? Sure. And back in the 90s, it was like, yeah, I've got like about 20, 30 issues of Spawn. That's not an old comic. Does it say 12 cents on the cover? No. Okay, it's not that old. But so do you have anything set up on the on your actual site where people could order like autographed copies of the book?
Not yet. I think the thing is it's tough because it's like it's definitely easier to do that in town. I can just go to Joelle and be like, here's some books, sign them, and let's distribute them to stores. Mm-hmm. And also it's tough because if I was to send a book, I'd have to send a bunch to Val and then have the books reshipped back, so I could redistribute them. So it's always a lot easier for me to just, ship the books to the stores and be like, if there's one near Val, be like, hey, if you do a signing Val, he'll just sign it right there. But at least for me in LA, if I'm shipping out books, I could always have Joelle pre-sign them. It's not a big deal. So it's like the logistics, I think, are the toughest part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping if we get COVID squared away in October, I'd love to go to New York Comic Con because that's a big show. And, I have some stuff to take care of in the East Coast, because I have some stuff back east I'd like to send back home. And I would love to go to that show and do bring signed books. I mean, again, it's like, it's just a matter of doing that. But yeah, I have no idea. It really is week to week, month to month. I mean, it's more about just getting enough shops across the country to carry the book, and just making it the shipping prices to the point where they don't feel like it's a pain in the butt to buy the book. I'm trying to give them very good wholesale prices for the book, so that when you get on the shipping, they're still going to make a nice margin, because a lot of times some people charge too much for wholesale prices. So I want to make sure it's as good as a deal they're going to get from like a bigger distributor. So it's like, the problem is you just can't have a shop order one book, because even if you ship that medium mail, that's like $4 to ship it. Versus if you're getting 10 books, I actually weighed the books and the paper and all that stuff. And that's about $8.25, $8.50. So if you're to amortize it, it's not so bad. It's like 85 cents extra on top of the wholesale price for the book. Mm-hmm. So even that added on, they're still going to be fine when they sell the book, and they could even sell the book at discount and still make money. So it's like, the point is to try and make it at a price that's fair. But the problem is the mailing situation screwed everything up. It's like, it used to be, I probably could have put 10 of them in a priority box for $10, and that would have been great, because you could trust priority a lot more than medium mail. Medium mail is like, are you going to get your box ripped open, or are they going to throw it to the monster in the back of the post office to shred it? You don't know. It's like, whereas if you send it priority, it's already automatically insured, and it's going to get there within 3 to 5 days now. It's like, it's annoying. That's for sure. And that's one advantage having a distributor does have, is that they're handling all that, so your books are being sent with other people's books and advertised into a better shipping fee, because distributors get much better deals from UPS and FedEx than us small fry people do. So it's definitely a lot. I mean, just for an example, just shipping to Amazon, their main facility that's in the other side of Southern California from me, I was able to ship 400 pounds of books, that was about 400 books, to Amazon in 12 boxes for under $100. I could not do that with UPS prices normally. Just so you know, when you're a seller on Amazon, that's how much of a better rate Amazon gets for shipping to one of their warehouses. Because normally it would cost me $30 per box.
Yeah, that's a little steep. I know I get media mail boxes from a shop out in Glendale, Arizona, and they got a build a box program. So all I do is buy back issues, older stuff. On me. And once they fill up an actual short box with your name on it, they take those books and they pack them up, and they do a great packing job. And they send them media mail, and I usually get them within a week once I'm notified that it's shipping out. But once it got to Springfield, Mass, which is towards Worcester in the western part of the state, and then they shipped it back to Michigan, and then back to Springfield, and then back to Michigan, and then back to Springfield, and then to Rhode Island, and then to me. It took me close to a month to get one box. But for $15 shipping, I wasn't complaining. I can wait a couple of weeks. I mean, the books I ordered were pretty much all Silver Age. So
I remember sending some books from our Watson and Holmes Kickstarter campaign and doing some of them through media mail because it was a better deal. And I would say about 5 or 6 packages got destroyed through media mail, sending them to the backers. I had to resend them through, priority mail. So I made it a point, if I'm ever doing a Kickstarter, it's that has to be in the budget, that you have to have priority mail because they don't do it by weight. I would actually put one of those tea boxes, those comic book tea folding ones.
Like the Geminis.
Yes, I bought some Geminis. I put the books in the Geminis, and then I put the Geminis in, priority envelopes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the best way to handle it. So, and I could fit, up to like many comics, and I could definitely fit a couple of graphic novels in a Gemini. So it was like, a really good way of doing things. And I definitely recommend people do it that way. It's just expensive, and it's just one of those things where you have to take that in consideration when sending Kickstarters or any of those type of things. That's one thing that is annoying. Is like it's getting to the point where it's like, oh, my shipping fees are almost the price of the book.
Yeah. Well, I sell comics online too, because I've got way too many, and I send them all out in Geminis, but I can fit like up to like 10 comics bagged, boarded, and bubble wrapped in a Gemini, and not have a problem anything over that. I use priority, and if it's something something like some anything like Silver Age or Bronze Age stuff, I do the Geminis, and then I drop everything in those mailer envelopes for priority. So I don't want to get DMs like every 3 days. Where's my books? Where's my books? Where's my books?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's it's just one of those things. So do you have a schedule of other shows that you're going to be on?
I don't know. I mean, are you talking about like YouTube and podcast shows?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. I know Liz is working on, getting some more. So hopefully we can get ones from, I know that Golden Apple has their own show, and we were talking to them about that. And I know same thing with Heidi Ho, the woman who owns Heidi Ho, one of the co-owners of Heidi Ho, does a show as well. So I think just getting from some of those would be great as a start. But other than that, it's pretty much Liz is taking care of that. So I find out from her, and I tell everyone else.
Yeah, I'll forward her a few shows and some information on a friend of mine that takes care of all the indie books
Thank you.
at a store in Central Florida, and they are huge supporters of indie comics there, especially when there were no comics to ship out in 2020, and they went to indies, and people loved them down there. Some of the series they've ordered like 2 and 3 orders of a couple of dozen copies. So I will put Danny's info to Liz, and I want to thank all of you for coming out and hanging out and talking a little bit of werewolves that I still can't say right. And we will look forward to checking that out. All the links are in the chat for the Instagram and Amazon. Go out and get your copy today on Amazon while they're still available. And if you're out in the California area, check with Golden Apple and get your copy there, and follow them on their social media. So Brandon, where can everybody follow you on social media?
B Perlow NPS, so it's BPERLOW NPS, and New Paradigm Studios is npstudios.com. NP Studios at Twitter, and B Perlow NPS are there.
Val?
I'm Val K. Wise, VALKWISE. Pretty much everywhere. My website is valkwise.com, and valkwise on both Twitter and Instagram.
Okay, cool.
And I'm on Twitter. I'm at WhereIsJoelle. And on Instagram, I'm Pastel Cali, PASTELCALI.
Very good. Well, I'd like to thank you all for coming on, and we will look forward to hopefully seeing your book out on store shelves out here on the East Coast. Right, Val?
Thank you for having us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everybody have a great night, and we will see you all again real soon.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.